The first explosion hit the ground beneath her feet, sending the air around Rayna Stark into chaos. Dirt and debris flew through the air as she dropped to the ground instinctively, her instincts honed by years of combat. The moment the first shot rang out, everything changed. The bandits had invaded Earth, and they weren't here for negotiations. They were here for domination. She rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding another incoming blast from a bandit cruiser hovering above. The skies had turned dark as ships loomed like silent, menacing shadows, casting a grim pall over the battlefield. Rayna's eyes narrowed, her pulse steady as she quickly scanned her surroundings. She was not alone. Around her, the Resistance's ragtag soldiers scrambled to take cover behind burned-out vehicles and wreckage from the initial bombardment. But they were barely holding on. The bandits' assault had been swift and brutal. Alien soldiers, decked in dark armor and wielding weapons far beyond Earth's tech, had already begun clearing the ground in search of their target. "Rayna, you need to fall back. It's a massacre!" shouted Mendez, the squad's second in command, as he sprinted toward her, blood spattered across his combat suit. "No!" she barked, her voice like ice. "We're not giving them this ground. We hold this position, or Earth falls today." She motioned for her squad to move forward, positioning them between the enemy and the core of the city. Her team, a mix of seasoned soldiers and fresh recruits, followed her orders without question. They weren't about to let their planet go without a fight. "Keep moving!" Rayna shouted as she sprinted ahead, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She raised her rifle, firing on instinct as another wave of bandit soldiers charged toward their position. 1 down. 2 down. The shots rang out like music to her ears, as rhythmic and familiar as breathing. But as the bandits scattered, another wave was already on its way. Behind the chaos, Rayna's comm unit buzzed to life with a new transmission. "Rayna Stark, this is command. We have new orders for you. The bounty hunter team is ready. You are to rendezvous with them immediately." She barely had time to process the message before the comms went silent. Bounty hunter team? She couldn't afford distractions right now, but the urgency in Command's voice had been unmistakable. Earth was losing ground fast, and Rayna wasn't about to gamble on some untested mercenary squad showing up. They had no time for that. "Where the hell are they?" she muttered under her breath. Just as she was about to yell out another command, a guttural roar echoed across the battlefield. She turned, eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of the new threat. The hair on the back of her neck stood on end, a shiver running down her spine. Out of the smoke and wreckage emerged a massive figure, an alien warlord, easily 8 feet tall, draped in bloodied, ceremonial armor. Its face was covered by a helmet resembling a jagged skull, its eyes glowing with a red intensity that sent a chill through Rayna's veins. Mendez glanced at Rayna, a look of dread crossing his face. "We can't hold this position much longer. That's their commander, the one they call Vrex. He's unstoppable." Rayna gritted her teeth, eyes narrowing as she assessed the situation. She had fought against the odds before, but this was different. The bandits were not just an alien force, they were a hunting force. And they had come to hunt humanity to extinction. "We don't have time for hesitation," Rayna snapped, her voice cold with resolve. She turned to Mendez. "Get the others to the rendezvous point. I'll deal with Vrex." Mendez hesitated, looking back at her with uncertainty. "Are you sure about this, Commander?" She turned toward the battlefield, locking eyes with the giant alien warrior now charging toward them. "I'm sure," she said firmly. Without waiting for a response, she dashed forward, moving quickly through the debris-filled city streets, her squad following orders and retreating toward the rendezvous point. But Rayna wasn't about to retreat. She wasn't just going to let this alien force destroy her world. As she moved into position, Rayna could hear Vrex's footsteps thundering closer. The bandit leader's massive form loomed above the ruins, a shadow of death, while his soldiers scoured the area. Rayna reached the nearest building and took cover behind a broken column, her rifle ready. She steadied her breath, prepared for the fight of her life. "You wanted a fight, Vrex? You've got one, *. Vrex stopped just in front of her position, pausing for a moment. Rayna's fingers flexed around the trigger. A glance in his direction confirmed what she already knew. This battle was going to be a test of survival. Asterisk, you think you can stop me, human? Asterisk. Vrex's voice reverberated across the wreckage, a deep, guttural growl that sounded like the growl of a beast. Rayna didn't flinch. No, I don't think. I know I can. Her shot rang out, but Vrex was faster. His energy shield flared to life, absorbing the blast with ease. Rayna cursed under her breath. But she wasn't done yet. In a flash, Vrex swung his weapon, sending it crashing down at Rayna's position. She dove to the side, narrowly escaping the strike. She could feel the ground tremble beneath her as Vrex stalked forward, his eyes filled with fury. The weight of the alien warlord's power radiated from him, but Rayna wasn't intimidated. She wasn't fighting to survive anymore, she was fighting to win. Asterisk, you're fast, asterisk, Rayna said, breathless but steady. But I'm smarter. With a quick motion, she threw a grenade at his feet, using the explosion to disorient him long enough to land a critical shot to his side. He staggered back, roaring in pain, but didn't fall. The bandit was relentless. And then, as the dust began to settle, Rayna heard it, footsteps, heavy and deliberate. She didn't have to turn around to know who it was. The bounty hunters. Cliffhanger ending asterisk. Behind Rayna, the distinct sound of boots on the cracked streets echoed. She glanced over her shoulder, seeing a team of heavily armored bounty hunters emerging from the shadows. The leader of the group, a tall figure in a sleek black suit, raised his weapon with confidence. The game had changed. Humanity's only chance now rested on the shoulders of these mercenaries. And as Vrex turned his attention to the new threat, Rayna realized one thing: they had just unleashed humanity's deadliest weapons yet. Rayna didn't need to see the bounty hunters to know they were the last hope humanity had. As the dust from the explosion settled, she steadied herself against the ruined wall, the heavy weight of the moment sinking in. Vrex, still reeling from her grenade, snarled in fury, his alien form towering above her like a nightmare given flesh. She had him, but she couldn't hold him off alone. She glanced back at the bounty hunter squad. 6 of them emerged from the shadows, their black armor gleaming like a dark mirror. Rayna wasn't sure if it was their tech or their reputation that had command scrambling to send them in, but the tension in the air was palpable. Each one carried themselves with a chilling confidence that bordered on arrogance. But right now, arrogance was a good thing. They needed to make their move. The leader, a tall, broad figure in a heavy exosuit, stepped forward, his glowing visor locking onto Rayna. There was no introduction, no greeting. Just business. Commander Stark, we've been cleared for the mission. What's the situation? Rayna didn't waste time with pleasantries. Vrex is still standing, but he's not invincible. We need a plan to take him down now. The bounty hunter nodded, his helmeted face betraying no emotion. Then let's end it. Rayna's fingers twitched on her rifle. She had fought alone before, but now, with these mercenaries at her side, things were different. They had the firepower to turn the tide, but would they be enough to finish the job? Earth's future depended on them. The bounty hunter leader raised his hand, signaling his squad to fan out. Each of the other 5 moved with precision, their movements synchronized, professional. The air around them seemed to hum with the hum of technology, weapons clicking into place, shields activating. They weren't here for negotiation. They were here for blood. Mendez's voice crackled through her earpiece. Rayna, we've secured the perimeter. But Vrex is relentless. If we don't move fast... I know, Rayna interrupted, her voice low and focused. Just keep the others alive. We'll finish this. She turned back to the bounty hunter leader. We need to hit him hard. The longer we delay, the more reinforcements he'll bring. The leader's visor shifted slightly, a subtle gesture that Rayna had learned meant he was considering the situation. Agreed. We're taking him down. You take the right flank. We'll hit him from the front. Rayna didn't hesitate. She didn't need to ask questions. The plan was clear, and there was no time for debate. As she began to move into position, she couldn't help but feel the weight of everything that had brought her to this point. The Bandit invasion had crippled Earth's defenses, and now they were fighting for scraps. But it wasn't just Earth's survival at stake. The Bandits had something else in mind, something bigger than conquest. And Rayna was starting to realize the true depth of their plan. The bounty hunter squad spread out, their weapons raised. Rayna could hear Vrex's roars of anger, his deep voice cutting through the chaos like thunder. The bandit leader was hunting for them, but he didn't know they were already closing in on him. Rayna moved silently through the rubble, her rifle ready, her heart pounding in her chest. The moment she stepped into position, she heard the whir of Vrex's energy blade. He was charging blindly, but it didn't matter. She had him in her sights. She squeezed the trigger, sending a round straight toward Vrex's exposed side. The shot hit, but it barely slowed him down. The bandit general grunted, spinning around to face her with fury in his eyes. Rayna dove for cover just as his massive blade swung through the air, slicing through the metal and concrete with ease. He's stronger than we thought, Rayna muttered, pulling out another grenade. She didn't have the luxury of time. The squad needed to finish him now. Focus fire, the bounty hunter leader shouted, his voice commanding. Distract him. I'll take the shot, The bounty hunters opened fire, their weapons lighting up the battlefield with deadly precision. Vrex blocked the initial shots with his energy shield, but the sheer force of their assault was enough to push him back. He was slowing down, just a little. But it wasn't enough yet. Rayna knew that one mistake, one slip-up, and they'd be finished. The squad closed in from every angle, their coordinated attack forcing Vrex to fight on multiple fronts. Rayna watched as one of the bounty hunters, a sharp-eyed sniper, took position atop a nearby pile of rubble, locking in on Vrex's weak points. Vrex snarled, swinging his blade again, but this time, the bounty hunter leader was ready. He dropped down from his perch, using a grapple to swing behind the bandit general. The leader landed with a heavy thud, his gauntlet hands gripping a massive plasma sword. With a single swipe, the blade cleaved through the air, narrowly missing Vrex's side. The bandit general howled in rage, spinning to face the new threat. But Rayna was already in motion. She darted out from her cover, positioning herself behind a ruined building. With her rifle steadied, she lined up the shot. One clean hit could end it. But just as she was about to pull the trigger, something shifted in the air. A new force, a massive energy surge. She felt it, a crackling wave of power emanating from Vrex. He wasn't just angry anymore. He was fighting back with everything he had left. No! Rayna shouted, realizing too late that the bandit general had activated his ultimate weapon, an energy pulse that would tear through the battlefield. She had seconds. The bounty hunter leader saw it too. He charged, activating his shield just in time to deflect a blast that would have obliterated them all. But the shockwave still knocked Rayna off her feet. The ground trembled beneath her, and she felt the world spin around her. Through the smoke, she saw Vrex raise his hand, preparing to unleash the final blow. It was now or never. In a split second, Rayna's training took over. She jumped to her feet, aiming her rifle one last time. This was her chance. With a single, steadying breath, she pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, faster than thought, faster than time. The round hit Vrex's exposed head, piercing his helmet with deadly accuracy. The bandit general's eyes went wide as his body dropped, crumpling to the ground with a sickening thud. The battlefield fell silent. Rayna's heart pounded, but she didn't move. She knew the fight wasn't over yet. Vrex's death was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The bandit forces would retaliate, and soon. He's down, Mendez said over the comms, his voice breathless. But we've got bigger problems coming, Rayna stood tall, her eyes scanning the horizon. The bounty hunters had done their job. Now, it was time for hers. She turned to the leader, who was already moving toward her, his helmet still glowing with the faint hum of the energy blade. Asterisk, what now? Asterisk, she asked. Asterisk, we go to the heart of their operation. Asterisk, the bounty hunter leader replied, voice grim. Asterisk, it's not over yet, Commander. But it will be soon. Asterisk. And with that, the real fight began. Cliffhanger ending. Asterisk. As Rayna looked out toward the horizon, the unmistakable hum of incoming reinforcements filled the air. The war was far from over. It was just beginning. Rayna didn't have time to celebrate. Vrex was down, but the battle had only just begun. The skies were darkening, and a heavy tension hung in the air. The bandits would be back in full force. Rayna could feel it. The ground beneath her feet hummed with the vibrations of their war machines, and she knew the worst was yet to come. The bounty hunters had done their part, but now it was her turn to lead her squad through the storm. The fight for Earth was escalating, and each moment brought them closer to the final showdown. Vrex's death was only a temporary victory. The bandits weren't just a force, they were a plague. And plagues didn't stop at one victory. Move out, Rayna ordered, her voice unwavering. She turned to the bounty hunter leader, who had removed his helmet, revealing a hardened, scarred face. His eyes were sharp, calculating. How much longer until reinforcements? Not long, he replied. We're in their crosshairs now. They'll send everything they've got. Rayna clenched her fists, eyes narrowing. She wasn't ready to back down, not now, not ever. She'd seen her world burn before, and she wasn't about to let it happen again. The bounty hunter squad moved with precision, their exosuits humming with each step. The other soldiers in Rayna's squad, less experienced but no less determined, followed closely behind. They were moving through the ruins of the city now, winding their way through alleyways, using the wreckage for cover. The sounds of battle still echoed in the distance, explosions, gunfire, screams. Earth was dying, but Rayna wasn't going to let it go down without a fight. Commander, Mendez's voice came through her earpiece. We've secured the east perimeter, but we're hearing some strange reports from the west. Bandit ships are appearing out of nowhere. Rayna's stomach tightened. The bandits had mastered stealth technology, using cloaking devices to hide their forces. That meant they were outnumbered, and more importantly, outgunned. Keep your eyes open, she ordered. And don't engage unless I give the word. She turned back to the bounty hunter leader. We need to find their command center. That's where this ends. He nodded, pulling up a holographic map on his wrist. There's a facility about 2 clicks east of here. We believe it's where their leadership is holed up. If we hit it, we'll cripple their operation. Rayna felt the weight of the moment settle on her. This wasn't just a mission, it was their last chance. If they failed, humanity was done. She could feel the lives of billions pressing down on her, but she couldn't show weakness. She wasn't leading just for survival. She was leading for the future. Let's move, she said, her voice steady. The squad advanced swiftly, moving in a coordinated formation. The bounty hunters led the way, their movements sharp and calculated. Rayna followed closely, her senses on high alert. Every crackling noise in the distance, every rustle in the wind, put her on edge. They were surrounded, and every step forward felt like it could be their last. As they neared the facility, Rayna felt her pulse quicken. They were getting closer to the heart of the enemy's power. The air was thick with anticipation, the tension building with each passing second. Suddenly, a loud, high-pitched whine filled the air. Something was coming. A massive shape appeared above them, casting a shadow across the landscape. It was a bandit warship, hovering silently, its underbelly glowing with an eerie light. Asterisk incoming, asterisk! A bounty hunter shouted, raising his weapon. Rayna didn't hesitate. She dove for cover, rolling behind a nearby concrete slab. The bounty hunters opened fire, their weapons unloading with brutal efficiency. The warship retaliated with a barrage of laser fire, cutting through the ground and sending chunks of debris flying. The chaos erupted around them. Rayna squeezed her eyes shut, taking a breath to steady herself. She couldn't afford to be distracted by the firefight. She had one objective: find the command center. The rest was secondary. Asterisk, focus on the mission, asterisk. Rayna barked. Asterisk, we push through, now, asterisk. Her squad responded instantly, charging forward with renewed determination. Rayna led the charge, her rifle raised, eyes scanning the environment for any sign of the enemy. She could hear the bandit warship firing above them, but the bounty hunters were taking it down, slowly but surely. As they neared the facility, Rayna's heart began to race. They were close, too close. The warship above them began to descend, hovering just above the ground. Rayna's instincts screamed at her to move faster, but there was nowhere to run. Asterisk there! The door's open, asterisk! The bounty hunter leader shouted, pointing toward the entrance to the facility. Rayna nodded. Asterisk, take cover and move in, now, asterisk! They stormed the building, weapons raised, moving through the darkened corridors like a well-oiled machine. The bounty hunters led the way, clearing each room with deadly precision. Rayna's squad followed, her heart pounding in her chest. They were getting closer. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the far side of the building. A door exploded inward, and from the smoke emerged a figure, tall, cloaked in black armor. The bandit leader. Vrex's replacement. You think you can stop me, human? The alien hissed, his voice reverberating through the room. You're nothing more than an insect. Rayna's pulse surged as she raised her rifle. Asterisk, I'm not here to talk, asterisk. The bandit leader moved quickly, his claws swiping through the air, knocking aside one of the bounty hunters with a single strike. The room erupted into chaos as the two sides collided, gunfire and blades clashing in a blur of motion. Rayna dove to the side, taking cover behind a wall as her team engaged the bandit leader's forces. She could hear the sounds of combat, grunts, explosions, the hiss of energy weapons. But she wasn't focused on that. She was focused on one thing. The bandit leader. With a quick motion, she dashed forward, firing at the bandit leader's exposed side. The shot grazed his armor, but he barely flinched. He turned, his eyes narrowing as he focused on her. You think you can kill me? The bandit leader growled. You're already dead. Rayna smirked, dropping to the ground and rolling out of the way just as the bandit leader's weapon fired, missing her by inches. Asterisk, not today, asterisk. Rayna whispered under her breath. Cliffhanger ending asterisk. The battle between Rayna and the bandit leader raged on, but she could sense the inevitable. She was fast, but the bandit leader's strength and brutality were overwhelming. As she dodged another strike, she glanced over at the bounty hunters, fighting valiantly against the odds. They were holding their own, but for how long? Then, as the bandit leader raised his weapon once more, the ground began to shake. The bounty hunter leader's voice rang through her earpiece. Asterisk, Rayna! Look out, asterisk! Before she could react, the building's walls began to crack, and the roof above them collapsed in a deafening roar. The bandits weren't just fighting for control. They were burying them alive. The earth trembled beneath Rayna's feet as the roof caved in. A deafening roar filled the air, the walls cracking with violent force. She barely had time to react, her instincts kicking in as she dove to the side, narrowly avoiding a massive chunk of debris that crashed into the ground where she had just been standing. Asterisk, fall back, asterisk! She screamed into the comms, the sound of her voice barely cutting through the cacophony of destruction. But the ground continued to shake, the building around them collapsing in on itself. She could feel the weight of it all, the weight of humanity's last stand, the weight of her team, and the weight of the future hanging on a single moment. If they didn't escape now, everything they had fought for would be buried under the rubble. The bounty hunters were already moving, their exosuits allowing them to move faster and with more precision than anyone else. But Rayna knew they weren't going to make it out of the facility without one last fight. She glanced at the bandit leader, still standing, unmoved by the destruction around them. His glowing red eyes were locked onto her, his massive frame unshaken. He raised his weapon, a long, jagged energy blade that pulsed with deadly light. His voice was cold, calculating, as he spoke. Asterisk, you cannot escape. Your efforts are futile, human. This is where it ends, asterisk. Rayna's heart raced, but she didn't flinch. She wasn't done. Not yet. She had a plan, and she needed to make it count. She took a step back, her rifle aimed directly at the bandit leader's chest. The squad had fallen back to the main corridor, and the bounty hunter leader had already issued commands to fall into position, but Rayna knew they couldn't afford to retreat without finishing this. You underestimate humanity, Rayna said through gritted teeth. You'll learn what it means to push us too far, Without warning, she threw a grenade toward the bandit leader's feet. The explosion rocked the room, sending dust and debris flying in all directions. But when the smoke cleared, the bandit leader was still standing, his armor untouched. Rayna's breath caught in her throat. The grenade had done nothing. You'll have to do better than that, The bandit leader sneered, his voice a chilling growl. But Rayna wasn't backing down. She adjusted her stance, tightening her grip on her rifle. Better, she had to outthink him. Outmaneuver him. And she had the perfect opportunity now. The ground continued to quake, the structure threatening to give way at any moment. The bandit leader's attention was diverted by the increasing chaos, his focus momentarily fractured by the instability. That was all Rayna needed. She rushed forward, closing the distance between them in a few swift, calculated moves. Before the bandit leader could react, Rayna slammed into him with all her weight, sending both of them tumbling into a pile of rubble. His weapon went flying, but his enormous strength was still a deadly threat. Get up, She shouted at herself as she pushed against his powerful grip, struggling to break free. Suddenly, the bounty hunter leader's voice blared through her earpiece, urgent and sharp. Rayna, we need to move! The facility is about to collapse! Now, Rayna's mind raced, but she couldn't stop. She was so close. The bandit leader was struggling beneath her, trying to overpower her. Her strength was fading, but she could see it in his eyes, fear. He was afraid. She had a chance. A window of opportunity. It was now or never. With a primal yell, Rayna pulled herself free, grabbing the bandit leader's energy blade from the ground as she scrambled to her feet. She swung the blade with all her might, the energy humming as it sliced through the air. The bandit leader managed to deflect the strike with his own weapon, but she was relentless. You're not winning this, Rayna spat, her voice a low growl. We will always fight back, She swung again, this time connecting. The energy blade cut through his armor like it was paper, and the bandit leader howled in pain. His weapon slipped from his hands, and Rayna seized the moment, knocking him to the ground with a brutal strike. He lay there, gasping for air, his body twitching in defeat. The once mighty bandit general was no longer a threat. But Rayna knew this was only one part of the battle. She didn't look back as she bolted for the exit, her heart pounding in her chest. The bounty hunters had already begun their retreat, moving fast and efficiently. The squad was following them, but Rayna stayed focused on the mission. They weren't out of danger yet. The facility was crumbling, its walls collapsing behind them as they ran. Dust filled the air, making it difficult to see. But Rayna's eyes were fixed ahead. The city outside was still under siege, and they needed to reach the command center before it was too late. She knew the bandits had a backup plan. They always did. The group reached the final door, the thick steel barrier humming with the sound of the emergency lockdown. Rayna slammed her fist against the panel, cursing as the door refused to open. Move, she shouted, stepping back. One of the bounty hunters moved forward, his suit glowing with the power of his enhanced strength. With a single strike, the door was ripped off its hinges. Rayna didn't wait for it to fall. She rushed through, leading the squad into the final stretch. Outside, the remnants of Earth's defenses were crumbling, but a new force had arrived. The bounty hunter leader had managed to call in reinforcements, another squad, even larger, equipped with heavy artillery and advanced technology. They had arrived just in time. Rayna didn't pause. She took one last look at the facility behind her, feeling a pang of something she couldn't name. The bandits had lost their leader, but this war was far from over. Asterisk, let's end this, asterisk, Rayna said, her voice hard with determination. Cliffhanger ending asterisk. As the reinforcements rallied behind them, a massive explosion erupted in the distance. Rayna's heart skipped a beat as she watched the smoke rise into the sky. This wasn't over. The bandits had one final card to play, and she knew it was going to be a hell of a fight. The real war was just beginning, and Rayna wasn't sure if they were ready. But she wasn't backing down. Not now. Not ever.